Have you ever wondered why some people seem impossible to break? Life throws storms at them. They lose, they fail, they are betrayed, they are misunderstood. Yet somehow they stand taller after every battle. It is not because life has been kinder to them. It is not because they were born stronger than everyone else. It is because they discovered something that most people spend their entire lives searching for. A strength that cannot be taken away. A strength that does not depend on applause, approval, comfort, or perfect circumstances. The strongest fortress you will ever build is not made of stone. It is built inside your own mind. The world will always try to convince you that your value depends on what you own, who chooses you, how many people admire you, or how often everything goes your way. But those things can disappear in a single moment. Titles fade. Money comes and goes. Relationships change. People who once celebrated you may suddenly doubt you. If your identity is built on things that can be taken away, then every loss will feel like the end of your story. But when your strength is rooted within you, no disappointment has the power to define your future. There comes a moment in every person's life when excuses no longer serve them, when blaming the past becomes heavier than carrying the responsibility for the future. That moment is where transformation begins. Not because the pain disappears, but because you decide that your pain will no longer be your master. Every challenge becomes a teacher. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every scar becomes evidence that you survived what once tried to destroy you. Today is not about pretending that life is easy. It is about understanding that your mind can become stronger than any obstacle standing before you. The goal is not to avoid suffering, but to become the kind of person who cannot be defeated by it. Because the greatest victory is never over another person. It is over the fear, doubt, and limitations that have been living quietly inside your own mind. And once you win that battle, there is very little in this world that can ever break you again. For most of our lives, we are taught to measure ourselves through the eyes of other people. We learn to celebrate compliments, fear criticism, and chase approval as if it were the only proof that we matter. Slowly, without realizing it, we hand over the keys to our peace of mind. We allow strangers, friends, co-workers, even family members to decide whether we should feel worthy or inadequate. The danger of living this way is that the moment approval disappears, confidence disappears with it. A person who depends on validation will always feel emotionally vulnerable because their happiness is being controlled by people whose opinions change as easily as the weather. True mental strength begins the day you understand that not everyone is supposed to understand your journey. Some people will misunderstand your silence and call it weakness. Others will misunderstand your confidence and call it arrogance. Some will question your dreams simply because they cannot imagine themselves achieving them. If you spend your life trying to satisfy every opinion, you will never have enough energy left to build the life you were meant to live. You cannot carry your purpose while carrying everyone's expectations at the same time. The strongest people are not those who receive endless praise. They are the ones who continue moving forward even when applause is absent. They wake up each morning knowing that discipline is more reliable than motivation, and that character is more valuable than popularity. They do not wait for someone to tell them they are capable. They remind themselves through consistent action. Every promise they keep to themselves becomes another brick in the foundation of their confidence. Confidence built through action lasts far longer than confidence built through compliments. There will always be voices telling you that you are too late, too young, too old, too inexperienced, or simply not enough. But those voices only become powerful when you give them permission to live inside your mind. Once you stop asking for permission to become who you are meant to be, something remarkable happens. You begin making decisions based on your values instead of your fears. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into rooms that were never designed for your growth. You become willing to disappoint others rather than betray yourself. Mental resilience grows quietly. It is built every time you choose integrity over acceptance. Every time you refuse to compare your chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 20. Every time you continue working while no one is watching. The world celebrates visible success, but real transformation happens in private moments when no audience is present. It happens when you choose consistency over comfort, patience over panic, and purpose over popularity. A mentally unbreakable person understands that validation is temporary, but self-respect is lasting. Praise can lift your spirit for a moment, but it cannot carry you through the darkest nights. Only an unshakable belief in your own values can do that. When your identity is rooted in who you are rather than what others think of you, rejection becomes redirection instead of defeat. Criticism becomes information instead of destruction. Silence from others no longer feels like abandonment because you have learned to become your own source of encouragement. The moment you stop chasing approval is the moment you begin discovering freedom, and in that freedom you unlock a version of yourself that no opinion, rejection, or judgment can ever imprison. Every person dreams of a life without pain, without setbacks, without disappointment. We imagine that happiness will finally arrive when every obstacle disappears. But life has never worked that way. Challenges are not interruptions to your journey. They are the journey. The strongest minds are not created during moments of comfort. They are shaped in moments when everything seems uncertain, when every step forward requires courage instead of confidence. Hardship has a way of revealing strengths that comfort keeps hidden. You never truly discover how resilient you are until life demands more from you than you ever believed you could give. Think about the moments that changed your life the most. They were probably not the easiest days. They were the days when you were forced to grow because remaining the same was no longer an option. Failure taught you lessons that success never could. Loss taught you gratitude. Rejection taught you independence. Loneliness taught you how to become comfortable with your own thoughts. Every painful experience carried within it a lesson, but only those willing to learn could recognize it. Others remained trapped, believing that life had singled them out for suffering instead of preparing them for something greater. One of the greatest mistakes people make is asking, "Why is this happening to me?" That question often keeps them focused on pain instead of possibility. A more powerful question is, What is this experience trying to teach me? The moment your perspective changes, your suffering begins to serve a purpose. Instead of becoming a victim of your circumstances, you become a student of them. Every challenge becomes a classroom, every obstacle becomes a mentor, and every setback becomes an opportunity to build wisdom that cannot be purchased or borrowed. Mental strength is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to keep moving despite fear. It is waking up after disappointment and choosing to try again. It is refusing to allow one failure to become the definition of your identity. The strongest people have experienced heartbreak, betrayal, financial struggles, criticism, and uncertainty. What separates them from everyone else is not that they escaped hardship, but that they refused to let hardship convince them they were defeated. They learned that pain is temporary, but the character built through pain can last a lifetime. There is a quiet transformation that happens when you stop resisting every difficult moment. You begin to understand that every obstacle is developing qualities that success alone could never produce. Patience grows when results take longer than expected. Courage grows when fear is present, but action continues anyway. Humility grows after failure. Compassion grows after personal suffering. Wisdom grows from mistakes honestly examined instead of hidden. These qualities become the invisible foundation of an unbreakable life. They cannot be stolen, bought, or destroyed because they are earned through experience. The world often celebrates victories while ignoring the battles fought in silence. It applauds achievements, but rarely sees the countless mornings when someone chose hope over despair, discipline over excuses, and perseverance over surrender. Every difficult season carries the potential to reshape your character if you refuse to let bitterness take root. Instead of allowing adversity to harden your heart, allow it to strengthen your spirit. Instead of seeing every obstacle as proof that you are failing, recognize it as evidence that life is inviting you to become stronger than the version of yourself that entered the struggle. The greatest transformation begins when you stop asking for an easier path and start becoming a stronger person capable of walking through any path that lies before you. Your mind is the most powerful force you will ever possess. Before your hands build anything, your thoughts create it first. Before you change your circumstances, you change the way you see them. Two people can face the exact same challenge and walk away with completely different futures, not because life treated them differently, but because they interpreted the experience differently. One sees an ending while the other sees a beginning. One sees proof of failure while the other sees an opportunity to grow. The difference is not found in the situation itself. It is found in the mindset each person chooses to carry through it. Every thought you repeat becomes stronger. When you constantly tell yourself that you are not capable, your actions begin to match that belief. You hesitate before taking opportunities. You doubt your abilities before even trying. You avoid challenges because you have already convinced yourself that failure is inevitable. In time, these repeated thoughts become habits, and those habits quietly shape the direction of your entire life. The mind listens to the stories you tell it every day, whether those stories empower you or limit you. This is why mentally unbreakable people guard their thoughts with great care. They understand that negativity is contagious, especially when it comes from within. They refuse to entertain every fear that enters their mind. Instead, they question it. Is this fear based on facts, or is it based on imagination? Is this doubt protecting me, or is it preventing me from becoming who I am capable of being? By asking these questions, they stop negative thoughts from becoming permanent beliefs. They recognize that not every thought deserves their attention, and not every emotion deserves to control their decisions. There will always be moments when uncertainty whispers that you should quit. There will be days when your progress feels invisible and your efforts seem unnoticed. During those moments, your external circumstances may offer you very little encouragement. That is why your inner dialogue becomes so important. If your own mind becomes your greatest enemy, every obstacle will appear larger than it really is. But if your mind becomes your greatest ally, even the tallest mountains begin to look climbable. Encouragement from others is valuable, but encouragement from yourself is essential because it is the one voice that stays with you every moment of your life. A powerful mindset does not mean pretending that problems do not exist. It means believing that your ability to respond is greater than the difficulty you face. It means replacing helplessness with responsibility. Instead of saying, "There is nothing I can do," you begin asking, "What is the next step I can take?" Small actions inspired by hopeful thinking eventually create extraordinary results. Confidence is rarely born from having all the answers. It grows from taking one courageous step after another, even while uncertainty remains. Your thoughts also influence the energy you bring into every room, every relationship, and every opportunity. A person who constantly expects failure often notices only obstacles. A person who believes growth is possible begins to notice possibilities that others overlook. This does not mean life becomes easier. It means your perspective becomes stronger than your problems. You stop allowing temporary setbacks to define permanent beliefs about yourself. You become less concerned with what has gone wrong and more focused on what can still be built. Over time, this way of thinking transforms not only your attitude, but your actions, your habits, your relationships, and your future, proving that the life you experience is deeply connected to the thoughts you choose to cultivate every single day. One of the greatest signs of mental strength is not the absence of emotion, but the ability to lead your emotions instead of being led by them. Every human being experiences anger, fear, disappointment, sadness, frustration, and doubt. These emotions are natural, and they remind us that we are alive. The problem begins when emotions become the decision makers in our lives. A single moment of uncontrolled anger can destroy years of trust. A wave of fear can stop someone from pursuing a life-changing opportunity. A moment of disappointment can convince a person to abandon a dream that was only one step away from becoming reality. Mentally unbreakable people understand that emotions are important messengers, but they are poor leaders. Life constantly presents situations designed to test your emotional discipline. Someone criticizes you unfairly. A friend betrays your trust. A plan you've worked on for months suddenly falls apart. In those moments, your first emotional reaction is often impulsive. You may want to argue, give up, seek revenge, or retreat into silence. But true strength is found in the pause between feeling and reacting. That pause is where wisdom lives. It is where you choose whether your emotions will control your future or simply pass through your mind like clouds moving across the sky. Many people believe that emotionally strong individuals never feel pain, but the opposite is true. They feel deeply, yet they refuse to let temporary emotions create permanent consequences. They allow themselves to acknowledge disappointment without allowing it to become despair. They experience fear without surrendering to it. They feel anger without allowing it to turn into bitterness. They understand that every emotion has an expiration date if it is handled with patience instead of panic. No feeling, no matter how intense, lasts forever. The mistake is believing that because you feel something today, you must act on it immediately. Emotional mastery also requires self-awareness. You must learn to recognize the patterns that repeatedly pull you away from your purpose. Perhaps criticism makes you defensive. Perhaps rejection causes you to question your worth. Perhaps stress makes you lose focus on what truly matters. The more honestly you observe yourself, the more power you gain over your reactions. Awareness is the beginning of change. You cannot control what you refuse to understand. The strongest people are not perfect. They are simply willing to examine themselves with honesty and make adjustments where necessary. Patience becomes one of the greatest weapons in building an unbreakable mind. In a world that encourages instant reactions, choosing to remain calm is an act of remarkable strength. Silence often speaks louder than unnecessary arguments. Reflection often produces better decisions than impulsive action. There is wisdom in waiting until emotions settle before making choices that could shape your future. Every time you choose restraint over reaction, you strengthen your character. Every time you respond with clarity instead of chaos, you prove that your mind is becoming stronger than your circumstances. As you continue mastering your emotions, you begin to notice a profound change within yourself. Other people's opinions lose their ability to shake your confidence. Unexpected setbacks no longer destroy your sense of direction. You become less reactive and more intentional. Instead of allowing life to push you from one emotional extreme to another, you develop an inner stability that remains steady through both success and failure. Your peace no longer depends on perfect conditions because it is rooted in self-control, and that quiet discipline becomes a source of strength that no insult, disappointment, or challenge can easily take away from you. A mentally unbreakable life is never built by chance. It is built through the quiet decisions you make every single day when no one is watching. Many people believe that strength appears in one dramatic moment, but real resilience is created through ordinary habits, repeated with extraordinary consistency. It is choosing discipline when comfort calls your name. It is remaining committed to your purpose when motivation fades. It is believing in your future even when today's results give you no reason to celebrate. These small, unseen choices eventually shape the person you become. Discipline is one of the greatest forms of self-respect. It means doing what is necessary even when you do not feel like doing it. Anyone can work hard when they are inspired, excited, or praised. The true test comes on the days when energy is low, progress feels slow, and no one seems to notice your efforts. Those are the moments that separate dreamers from builders. A disciplined person understands that feelings change from day to day, but commitment remains. They do not allow temporary emotions to determine permanent outcomes. Instead, they continue taking meaningful action because they know consistency always outlasts intensity. Purpose gives discipline its direction. Without purpose, hard work eventually becomes exhausting because there is no deeper reason to continue. But when your actions are connected to something meaningful, every sacrifice begins to make sense. Every early morning, every difficult lesson, every obstacle becomes part of a greater journey rather than an isolated struggle. Purpose reminds you why you started when the road becomes difficult. It keeps your eyes focused on the destination instead of becoming distracted by temporary discomfort or immediate rewards. Self-belief is the force that keeps both discipline and purpose alive. There will be seasons when no one believes in your vision except you. People may question your decisions, underestimate your abilities, or fail to understand your goals. If your confidence depends on their approval, your determination will disappear the moment criticism arrives. But when your belief comes from within, outside opinions lose their power. Self-belief does not mean thinking you are perfect. It means trusting that you can learn, adapt, recover, and continue moving forward regardless of how many times life tests your resolve. An unbreakable mind also understands that progress is rarely dramatic. Growth often happens so gradually that you barely notice it. One disciplined choice may seem insignificant. One day of focused effort may appear meaningless. One small improvement may not attract attention. But over weeks, months, and years, these tiny victories accumulate into extraordinary transformation. Just as a mountain is formed, one grain of earth at a time, an unshakable character is built through countless moments of quiet perseverance. Success is often the visible result of invisible habits practiced long before anyone applauds the outcome. There will always be distractions competing for your attention and shortcuts tempting you to abandon the path of discipline. The world often celebrates instant success while ignoring the years of preparation behind it. Do not measure your progress by comparing your journey to someone else's highlight moments. Measure it by the promises you keep to yourself, the values you refuse to compromise, and the courage you show when circumstances become difficult. Every challenge you face with determination adds another layer to your resilience. Every decision to remain faithful to your purpose strengthens your identity. Every act of self-belief reinforces the understanding that true power is not found in perfect circumstances, but in the unwavering commitment to keep growing, keep learning, and keep moving forward until your character becomes stronger than any obstacle life can place before you.